Greetings, everyone. I am Dr. Wolf, and I just saw What Lies Beneath. And yeah, I actually find that the Student 6 are really growing on me. Ever since episodes like the Hearthwarming Club, and particularly this episode, I finally feel like I'm really getting to know these characters and enjoying a lot more of their interactions. And this particular story actually gives each of them just a little bit of time to see them individually, to see what they're afraid of. And yeah, we needed that. We really needed that. Starting from the beginning, Twilight says that she's giving them a test on friendship history. And yeah, we're given a little exposition about the Tree of Harmony and how it might have a bit of sentience of its own, which really comes to the forefront later on, but I'll get into that. And when the Student 6 are doing their studying together, Cozy Glow comes along, and I have to say they have kind of turned off a lot of the subtlety to her character. I mean, in previous episodes, you only just got bare hints that there might be something going on with her, that there was something a little bit off about her character. You couldn't quite put your finger on it, but no. This episode has really cemented she has something up her sleeve. She has plans within plans. She is trying to sabotage something behind the scenes, but we aren't entirely sure what and why just yet. I remember thinking from her very first appearance that I'm not entirely sure what to think about this character, whether the writers and the animators had intentionally made her to look like there was something going on with her character in the background. But no, here they are really turned off a lot of the subtlety. You know that there is a lot of little plans going on, and her chess piece cutie mark is definitely coming into play. But the fact that when the Student 6 go under the school and the roots of the Tree of Harmony have been apparently reaching all around Ponyville and have been hearing about friendship problems and have, I don't know, how do you even refer to the tree itself? It or she, or I'm not entirely sure, because it absolutely has a mind of its own and it's able to communicate with others face to face, taking on the form of Twilight, a very glowing Twilight. And yeah, there's a lot to unpack in theory-wise there, but I'm gonna try to keep from getting too much into that. I'm trying to understand why the Tree of Harmony is specifically coming out now instead of any other time before this point to actually speak to other characters. Why they're setting it up in this particular way. And again, I am reminded of other episodes like, say, Matter of Principles, when it was a little bit of a prediction of mine that because they were putting a little focus on these artifacts from all the different species around Equestria, that eventually the Student 6 would be the ones to wield these artifacts in some great conflict, perhaps even at the end of this same season. And episodes like What Lies Beneath, it's kind of adding fuel to that fire. I don't know what's going to be happening just yet, but combine that with the fact that Cozy Glow is becoming much less subtle in her intentions, even though I do appreciate that even at the end, when the Student 6 want to tell Twilight and the other professors exactly what happened underneath the school, that the Tree of Harmony has a sentience of its own and a magic of its own, that its roots are spreading around, Cozy doesn't just say, no, you can't do that. She actually comes up with a legitimate reason as to why they shouldn't do that. She plays the puppy dog eyes card, I suppose. Makes herself look to be a victim in all of this, where she doesn't want to get in trouble. And yeah, that's pretty clever. I am glad the writers at least made it plausible as to why the student 6 would believe her and not say anything. It adds a lot of credibility as to why this story would go the way it is. When it comes down to each of the student 6 going through their individual fears, I admit there were a lot of steps where I wasn't sure where the story was going. And as I've said many times before, I like the unexpected. I like being thrown for a loop. I like trying to figure out, well, what could be coming up next? I mean, how are these elements going to work with each other? And in a few ways, I was pleasantly surprised. At first, I thought that each of the individuals were going to have to try to get over their own fears as a way of meeting up later and being able to talk to each other about them. But the writers took it one step further. You have the two most loner characters in the student 6, Gallus and Smolder. They were the ones who were able to overcome their trials first, and the reason why was that, one, Gallus had to be able to admit that he was claustrophobic in order to help Silverstream overcome her fear of, hey, we're getting a return of the Storm King, and hey, I like the fact that they're bringing a little bit of continuity from the movie. Nice job there. But above that, hey, we got to know a little bit more about each of these characters in turn that, like both the dragon and the griffin said, as they were about to find their way to escape, any other dragon or griffin would just bolt their first chance that they get. But we're not any other dragon or griffin. That's a good way to develop their characters. I appreciate that. And yeah, seeing that Smolder's greatest fear is that she's afraid of looking cute. She's afraid of showing her sensitive side, I suppose. Growing up in dragon culture, you can completely understand why she would be afraid of showing that side of herself. And going up to a character like, say, Ocellus, who is terrified that there may be a part of her that hasn't changed from before, that is still going back to the old ways of the changelings, and taking on the form of Chrysalis herself is a great way to visualize that. Yeah, that's actually a really good way of having Smolder and Ocellus connect with each other. I really enjoy that. I admit I wasn't as interested in, say, Yona overcoming her fear of spiders because it wasn't that effective in showing how she's friends with the rest of the student 6. It was just maybe a way of showing that she was willing to admit she needed help. That was more the trial she needed to overcome rather than trying to build friendships with others. Although, if her spider army is going to be coming up in any other episodes, maybe that'll be more effective. But I don't know, maybe this is a one-time thing. We'll have to wait and see. In Sandbar's case, again, it's interesting to see if they use this in a future episode or not. Because Sandbar was the last to overcome his trial out of all the student 6. And yeah, setting up the idea that Sandbar is very devoted to impressing the ponies that he idolizes, and perhaps even at the expense of his friends, that was the trial he had to overcome to show that, no, I will not abandon my friends. By itself, it's not as effective as some of the other trials that, say, Gallus and Smolder went through in order to help build up, say, Ocellus and Silverstream. I like that a little bit more. But if they were showing this for Sandbar as kind of a hint for something coming up in the future, then yes, this would be absolutely more effective. But I don't know if that's what the plan is yet. We'll have to wait and see. But as I've said before, there were a number of unexpected twists. I like the fact that, hey, there were some puzzles that needed to be solved. I like the fact that Gallus had to figure out which sections of light were going to help him escape and which ones were making things worse. That was clever and interesting. And trying to figure out exactly why the tree, who is now confirmed to be very sentient, and trying to help the student 6 in particular when it hasn't really shown itself before this point, or herself, or however you want to define it. I don't really know. And when the student 6 get out and inform Cozy Glow out of all of this, you can really tell Cozy has her eyes lit up, figuring out, oh, there's this great power that's coming out from underneath the school. Oh, what can I do with it? Especially the very last line when she says, "I'll take care of everything." Yeah, they give her legit reasons towards the student 6 as to why they wouldn't say anything to anyone else. So I do appreciate that. I just wish they'd kept it a little more subtle so we know that she's not going to be big player in some grand conflict in the future, because by now you know that's going to be the case. You know that that's the plan. What that's going to entail, I don't know yet. Why she's doing all of this, that could still be very intriguing, because from her very first appearance, you really weren't sure how to read her character, what her true motivations could be. And I really hope they come up with something truly compelling, because this is a character that I've been unsure about from the very beginning, who I've had a real hard time reading. And if they can come up with something fascinating as to why she's been doing this from the very start, she might become something that I'm hoping will be a recurring character in future seasons. But who knows? For now, What Lies Beneath is an interesting dive into a lot of the Student 6. It raises a lot of questions about the Tree of Harmony and what its plans are. And yeah, a lot of potential setup for future conflicts. What I'm betting will likely be the end of this season's conflicts. But we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, though, I would like to hear your thoughts, especially given the Student 6 and their individual fears and how they interacted with each other to overcome those fears. What do you think having the Tree of Harmony showing this level of sentience and being able to interact with other characters actually means at this point in the show? And what do you believe Cozy Glow's true intentions behind all of this are? Until next time, I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.